Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the new Capita Aeronaut, Arthur Longo's Promodel. This board features Capita's Alpine V3 profile, which is predominantly camber with a very small flat section before the upkick in the tail. Basically, it rides like traditional camber, so all the load, pop, snap, and drive is coming from that downward force that you apply to the board to load it up. This board's available in 153, 155, 157, 159, and 161. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that was overcast, puking snow, high winds, 6+ inches of heavy pow to light pow. You had chop, chunder, ice, snow-covered, corduroy firm, fast corduroy, death cookies, kind of just a mix of everything, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. This board is stiff, that's for sure. It's not a plank, but it's definitely more all-mountain free ride than all-mountain freestyle. And you will feel it in this board. There's a little bit more flex, and I mean a tiny little bit more in the nose, and then it just stiffens up through the midsection back through the tail. The torsional flex is very reactive. It rebounds back to its natural shape. So any ankle steering you do, you're gonna feel it fight you. Now, when it comes to stability, this board will plow through everything in its path or get on top of it and skip over it. It doesn't matter if you're going slow or fast. It wants to plow through everything in front of it. And with that happening, you just gotta be aware that with how reactive this board is, if you get into some super rutted out terrain, you might get bucked around. So keep those knees bent and stay a little light on your feet. This board is super stable. You do get some chatter underfoot. You feel those micro vibrations coming up underneath that just resonate through the whole board. But a lot of that is due in part to how reactive this board is when you load it up or you're just sailing down the hill. If you've seen Side Hit Euphoria, you know what this board is for. And if you haven't, you need to go watch it. And even if you have seen it, you should probably go re-watch them. This board wants to boost. You have to aggressively load it up, because if you don't, you're gonna curse your life and wonder why you didn't load it up to pop with it. And it's gonna snap. It's gonna launch you. You think that side hit that you normally hit where you go out maybe 10, 15 feet is really big? Oh no, you're going like 40 feet down and 10 feet high with this thing. This board will boost you to the moon. But like I said, you have to load it up. That's the whole thing with this board. It's essentially old school man camber. For all you guys that want a true traditional cambered board that's stiffer, this is what you might be looking at, because you load it up and it aggressively rebounds. You want to work out? That's what buttering is like on this board. You got to find a steeper section with some pow, pop that 180, land into it, press hard, pray that your legs can manhandle this thing, and then expect that rebound to engage so you snap out of it. This board is a chore to butter with, but when you do it, and you do it right, it looks absolutely amazing. So just be aware that speed, manhandling, fresh pow, steep line, probably where you want to be with it. Powerful. That's the one way I describe carving with this board. There are subtleties to how you engage this that you need to find out, because if you don't, you're not getting the most optimal performance from this board. With it being basically old school camber, you just got to load it up to drive it through a turn. You think you're gonna be nimble and just lazy and ankle steer with it? No. This is full-blown throwing your hip, your knee, your ankle, and all your weight into this board. You're gonna engage it from that front foot. It's gonna grip out at that contact point. You're gonna dig it in, and when it gets on edge, it's gonna cut through everything, and then you're gonna flex that back knee into the center, driving that camber section down, giving you power through the tail, and it's gonna slingshot you out of a turn. Your carves are gonna be fast and aggressive. They're not gonna be slow and easy and methodical. No. Fast and aggressive only. You're riding this thing as hard as you can. You're pinning it to the wall and you're just gonna leave trenches with it. When you lay this board over, you feel the power, and that power says, give me more. And when you give it more, it's gonna just elongate that carve. And then when you transition over, you're gonna get more power and it's gonna slingshot you further down. By the time you're back at the bottom, you're like, holy shit, I only made 3 turns on 2,000 vertical feet because this thing was so locked in. That's the type of board that it is. This ain't for the faint of heart. Like, you want to carve with this thing. It's all gas, no brakes. Who's this board for? Someone that wants to harness their inner Arthur Longo and pop off everything. Someone that wants traditional camber and is gonna be an aggressive rider. This board's a beast. I got a workout that I did not want from it, and that's okay because I needed to experience this thing to understand why Arthur Longo rides the way he does, and I will never ride that way. You're probably never gonna ride that way because you're watching this review. And let's be real, people that watch this review aren't gonna ride that way. With that said, this thing is a missile. Now, when you get into tight trees, you gotta stay on top of it. And the cool thing about riding POW with this board is there's a slight flex point right inside the back foot. So when you flex into that camber, you can feel it engage and get the nose to elevate a little bit. You can use this to your advantage, which is one of the subtleties I mentioned earlier in this review. This board is designed for hitting side hits. That's plain and simple. You're gonna boost off everything in your path and just keep on going. And I don't know what else to tell you. It was a friggin' goddamn workout. Comparable boards, the K2 Alchemist, the Amplid UNW8, the Jones Aviator 2.0. Binding recommendations, the Union Atlas Pro, the Ride A9, the Now Select Pro. This has been my review of the Capita Aeronaut. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really want to help us out and support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.